Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this video, I have Ray with Good Game Grabs, where he's going to give us some insights into the media category and how we can go about generating income reselling media on eBay. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and bring him on. How's it going?
It's going. How's it going with everyone? How's it going with you?
Yes, going good. Just pulling orders, doing the usual shipping, and going to get into listings. But yeah, kind of just, let's get right into the questions and start getting into your kind of journey and what you've gone through. And so like if you're starting over as a reseller, what are some of the things that you would do first to set up your business for success?
Well, I want to say that I just bought a shelf from Goodwill and I went, this is my inventory shelf. And I'm just going to throw stuff on it and just hope for the best. And that was absolutely the wrong way of going about that. I totally wish that I would have been way more organized. And the one cheap way to get organized, I tell this to people all the time, go to big box stores, especially like Costco or Sam's Club, and just ask if you can have free boxes because they're fire sailing them. Literally, just get them out the door. Please take them. Take 5. Go get those. Print out a blank thermal printer paper sheet because you're already going to have those anyway as a reseller, right? And just mark it with ABC. Like exactly. That's all you need. 3 bins to start. That's what I would do. So be more organized. That's what I would do differently.
Yeah. So setting up when you start accumulating inventory, having a plan for that inventory, like bin system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So if you're wanting to sell a little bit of everything, where can be a good place to source that type of inventory? We have the thrift stores, but where can our money go a little further when it comes to like buying, a little bit of everything as an everything seller?
Sure, yeah. My favorite place is anything bins or outlet related. I know that Goodwill Bins is the flagship company for outlets, and when I say outlets, they're literally just, giant either Gaylords or bins that they roll out with excess inventory that made it to a store and didn't sell. But you buy this stuff by the pound, and it's usually separated by general merchandise / hard goods, media, and clothing. And it's not the same for every Goodwill Bins location, but, generally you are going to pay less than $2 a pound for most items. Our bins do $5 an inch for books and VHS, which is really nice.
Oh, nice.
And then everything else. Oh, glassware. Glassware, I think, is 40 cents per item. So you can find some really sweet glassware. But yeah, I mean, I know there's a St. Vincent de Paul bins by us as well. And they're like 70 cents a pound for everything. So it's insanely cheap. So I have noticed that their location is a lot smaller, so less availability of goods. But I mean, the bins, I cannot say enough, especially if you're an everything reseller. You can just go in there and granted, like whatever you go after first, you're going to find the best stuff. But you can still search through the GM and the media and still find good clothing. Like clothing that's been overlooked, or you have to dig a little bit deeper for, or even something that somebody threw back. I make money off throwbacks all the time. So
I used to too. Yeah, like the clothing where people would kind of, it's like this pile here in the corner, and you're like, well, this is Ralph Lauren, Nike. Why did someone throw this out? Yeah, and it's like, thanks for sorting it for me.
Yeah,
What are you paying at the Goodwill Bins in your location per pound?
Okay, so it's $1.89 per pound, except for the 3 aforementioned things: the VHS,
$1.89,
the media, and the glassware. Yeah, $1.89 per pound.
That's good. So, like looking towards the future in your business, where do you see? I don't know how long you had been doing this, but where do you see maybe 1 or 2 years down the road with your reselling business? What are some like little goals that you want to hit?
I don't necessarily have any goals that far in the future, but my wife, Emily, she's the one that sort of like started me down the journey of reselling. And so like it kind of ties into what our name is, what our YouTube name is, Good Game Grabs. Like it started out as a channel that was like, we'll just collect games and cool, retro 80s, 90s nostalgia stuff. And then it was like, wait a minute, I can resell some of this stuff to fuel my collection. Yeah. And now we're just full blown reselling everything, not just video games and nostalgic stuff. So anyway, fast forward to now where she is wanting to also become a full-time reseller and content creator and artist and so on and so forth. So if anything like that, I would foresee a couple years from now is both of us being full-time in the thick of it, doing our thing, doing our reselling thing and thrifting and making cool stuff, upcycling stuff. I think that's like really where, it's not so much reselling related, but it kind of is. Like we really want to do merch that involves upcycling stuff that we've thrifted. So, whether that be t-shirts or mugs or whatever, that's really what we want to get into.
Yeah, that is the beauty of reselling is like the passion always begins with like, you kind of have a little bit of in the back of your mind, like, why is all this waste happening?
Yes.
How can I take advantage of mismanaged items and manage those items? And you'd be surprised, money is attracted to that. You just manage a little bit of waste, what people would call waste, and you can upcycle it. You can add value to that item, and you can run a full-time business doing that. We live in a country that is like, go look at the landfills. There is so much of profitable items thrown away every day. If you're tired of your 9 to 5, if you're tired of someone setting that schedule for you, clue into your passions in, hey, maybe I can start finding those electronics, those trading cards, whatever that are being thrown away, buy them in bulk, start a business.
Yeah.
And eBay can be that vehicle for that. So, you guys both go sourcing. Do you put everything into one store, or does she have a store? How does that work?
So we actually have an antique mall booth as well, and that's more like her thing because she loves the curation part of it. Whereas for me, I'm just like, I'm just going to throw this on eBay, take a couple pictures, whatever. Yeah. I know that sounds very simplified, but it's whatever. It's definitely more of like her way of having a storefront without paying the price of actually having a brick and mortar location, right? So she really loves that curation part of it. So she mainly, when she's outsourcing, yes, she will keep an eye out for stuff for me, for eBay, but I also return the favor. I reciprocate that and source stuff for her. Like if I find vintage Tupperware all the time in the bins, people love passing up vintage Tupperware for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it sells. It sells in our booth. I mean, so it's always, I mean, I could sell it on eBay, honestly. Like if if we didn't have the booth, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I still put some stuff in the booth, like just more like media based stuff that I know may not be worth my time as far as like listing it. Cause if it's like a $3 CD or tape or something like that, like I'm going to be like, not really worth my time. Like I'd rather it be in the booth. It's easy. I just literally slap a sticker on it and, somebody can come in there and buy it versus like, I got to take pictures of like, the front, the back, the top of the disc, the bottom of the disc, like so on and so forth. And that's debatable too. Like some people just use stock images for media. I personally do not think that's a good idea. Because like when you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, right?
Yes.
Do you really want to just see a stock image? No, I want to see the actual item. Like regardless of the description, like I want to see the actual item. And I think that's what's really cool about the booth is having that outlet where people can come and touch items and put their hands on it and really experience the item before they buy it, sort of thing.
Right.
So it's very much more connected, It's a more connected shopping experience.
Yeah, it's good to have multiple ways to get rid of items, you know.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump into the chat. Oh, yeah, but go ahead. You keep going.
I was just going to say, like, it is nice for items that may take longer to sell, but also for items that have not sold on our eBay. Like, there'll be, like, plushes, you know, that just, like, I'll reduce the price. I'll reduce the price, and it'll get down to, like, you know, $6-7, and I'm like, okay, how much am I really making after free shipping and after fees and taxes? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna put this in the booth. I'm gonna price it what I originally priced it for on eBay, and then hopefully it sells there, you know, or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Marcus says, "These are my friends." What's up, Marcus? Good
What's up, Marcus?
Miss Lachey says, "It's Ray."
It is
Ray. Hi, Bo. Hi, Ray. Hope all is well. Hope you're well, Miss Lachey. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Hi, Marcus. 50 cents an inch for books, not $5. Yeah, I didn't know that they did that. So they like measure the books, or
yeah. So
how
like,
do they do that?
if you have a cart full of books, which, you know, the book resellers, that's literally all they have is a cart stacked full of books. They'll take out a measuring stick and they'll just measuring stick the books, the stacks of books in your cart. So yeah. Pretty cool.
And then cool, yeah.
I mean, VHS is really easy. They just implemented this not too long ago, where they started doing the 5-cent VHS, or 5 cents an inch rather. But all VHS pretty much universally are an inch thick. So, you know, I mean, it's super easy. They'll just be like, okay, you have 5 VHS there. That's 25 cents. You know, so
yeah,
real easy.
That's good
and cheap.
That's cool. Yeah, very cheap. Be careful, Bo. Ray can talk for 24 hours. Well, this is a 24-hour stream.
Yeah, listen, I'm ready to. Are you ready to go? Because I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I Miss Lachey's only saying that because of Extra Life, which is a charity thing, a gaming charity thing that my wife and I do every year, where we game for 24 hours to benefit Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So, yes, I can, in fact, talk for 24 hours if we need to.
All right. Well, we'll fire up some Half-Life 2, some Counter-Strike. And we'll just be gaming all day.
I'm in.
Zach says, hello. Hey, Zach. Hope you're doing well.
What's up, Zach?
Is crushing it in his eBay store.
Love that.
Marcus says, I contacted a place for pallets, but the guy did say they cherry pick all the items, but I can get 1,000 pounds for $500. Right on. I heard you talk about that yesterday. Always worth at least giving it a shot, and helping save time from you. Maybe you buy one bale a month or one bale every couple months, just to maybe help save some time from driving. But yeah, that all comes with a bunch of other logistics of like, how am I going to pick it up? Where am I going to put it? All these other things. But that's cool that you did find that. Keep calling around too. It took me a couple calls just to find the right person. But that's cool. You said it was like historic items.
I think that vintage, the term cherry pick can be very subjective as well, right? Like, what their their definition of cherry pick could be like we were saying, like people throw back stuff all the time because it wasn't worth their time, but that literally could be a pallet full of stuff that Marcus deems worth his time. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they're probably not cherry picking American Eagle, Ralph Lauren.
Precisely.
Very generic. They're probably just looking for those,
the bangers.
Bangers. Yeah. Which is, what you do see at the Goodwill outlet is like, they passed up this perfectly fine Adriano Goldsmith jeans that go for $40, but they picked up that vintage shirt. Like building a 6-figure business is, with clothing, it's hard to do it just off of like 3 or 4 items a day. You'll need to do more volume, like hundreds of items at a time.
Burn and turn. Yep.
One busy mama to you says, hi everyone, how's it going? Thanks for coming on.
What's up, busy mama?
That says, hey Ray.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, Marcus. And Bobby says, hello from Northeast Ohio. Hope you are staying warm.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's not snowing.
Yeah.
Marcus says, hey, I'd flip that. And Tommy Kim Chan, hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for coming on. If you have questions for Ray, leave them in the comment section. I'll try to get to them and remember that. So back into the questions. Like, kind of what's your routine looking like? What are you aiming for, like as far as listings on eBay? Are you listing every day? And kind of what does a day-to-day look like for you? What does a listing day look like? Are you trying to hit a certain amount of listings a day?
So I've really tried to like regiment my days, and usually most days are pretty much the same. Like I'll wake up, I'll list, I'll ship sometime around noon, like sometime around lunchtime, because I do like to like break up my day by going to the post office. And yes, I am one of those resellers that actually goes to the post office. I don't have my stuff picked up. But yeah, it's nice to get out of the house, and go and interact with my postal workers and stuff like that, and go to the thrift store right by the post office. So that's always a plus. But yeah, so I mean, there are days though where I wake up and I go, I don't want to list in the morning. I don't want to do it. I'm going to do it at night. So I'll do my day in reverse. Like I'll veg out. I'll play some video games when I wake up. I'll do little stuff around the house, of course. And then I'll go ship, and then I'll come back, and then I'll list, or whatever it may be. But as far as like listing goal per day, so at the start of 2023, we're trying to get up to 10 to 15 a day. That doesn't happen every day. I wish that I had more gumption to like build up a draft bank. But the draft bank goes quick for me, so life happens.
Yeah. But that's the cool part about eBay is like we get going onto it because we don't want someone to run our time. So that means our time is our own. So we can do eBay at 12 at night, at 1 in the morning, at 5 in the morning, when you want to.
Right.
And that's why it's awesome.
I mean,
because as long as you can set time aside, you're good.
Precisely. Yeah, I think that it's important to, think about the space and the time that you have available to you if you are a new reseller. Because if you have, I mean, it's still possible, of course. Like I know plenty of resellers who have multiple children that are very inundated with them throughout the day, and they list at night when they go to bed. Like if that's the time that you can set aside, like great, whatever works for you. But I mean, that's it, wherever you can fit it in, basically, it's important.
Yeah. Yes, historic. Yeah, those historic items, those George Washington flannels are flying off the shelves. I'd flip that. Says snowing again here in Minnesota. Hopefully,
of course it is.
Not too crazy. One busy mama says, question, I was recently given a few boxes of CDs, DVDs, and books. I sell clothing mostly, so how do you list the quality if you don't know if the music skips or something? Thanks.
Okay,
That's a good question for you.
Yeah, I basically I've done so much disc-based media now that I have a pretty good idea of like if a disc is at the okay level, the bad level, and the good to go level. If anything I deem good to go, I just go ahead and list it. I don't even test it. If it's shaky, like I'll go ahead and of course test it. But I mean, it's really important to take pictures of the underside of the disc. I can't stress that enough because, at very least do that if you don't test the CD itself or the game or the DVD or whatever it is, whatever disc-based media that it is. Take a picture of the underside of the disc. I want to rewind for a second and just go back to like the people who are using stock photos for their media listings. Like, do not do that. If you sell a video game, if you sell a collector style DVD, like let's say you sell an anime DVD, and the anime crowd, they're like video game nerds. They want their quality, they want it to play. Like they're gonna be really, anal about it. And it's important to take a picture of the bottom of the disc if you do not test it. If you do not test, because they're going to know what they're possibly getting into.
Yeah, you want to seem like you're a real seller, not just like a robot.
Yes, precisely.
Coming from a real person.
Yeah, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. One busy mama, put your if you are a high end, if you're a high end anime DVD collector, you're gonna want the most quality stuff.
Yes.
And I will also say that if you are questioning a disc that is really valuable, take the time to look up local places that will do disc resurfacing and take it there and pay the $3, because that $3 insurance is going to give you peace of mind and the buyer peace of mind at the end of the day for your item. I can't stress that enough. I mean, it's so.
Yeah. Especially with those higher end games, DVDs.
Yeah.
More rare.
Yeah.
So Bobby says, please call the bins in Omaha and tell them to sell VHS for 5 cents.
I mean,
right,
I will get right on that because the amount of VHS that are going to the landfill has to be insane. Unfortunately, people are not. VHS hasn't really caught on like vinyl, did, right?
Yeah,
there still is collectors for VHS, but it was also mass produced. So let's also talk about that. But I think that the move to VHS for 5 cents is great for everybody. It's great for keeping it out of the landfill. It's great for resellers, and it's great for buyers because now we can sell it to them for even a little less money. So the collectors, the sellers, and the landfill all wins. So
yeah, just like that principle of management is like, hey, let's try to figure out how to put some value into the economy. It's like maybe it's just we're waiting that time frame. Maybe in 5-10 years you see more of that demand, where that nostalgia of coming back, for vinyl and stuff like that. Track.
It comes in waves, right? We'll probably see another resurgence. I mean, honestly, even right now, I'm sort of seeing the tiny wave of CDs coming back, and honestly, even now, I mean, you can do it now, but in the last 5-7 years, people were giving away CDs. Giving them away, here, take my entire collection. And now those same CDs can be worth $3 to $10 a piece. I think it's important that if you are an everything reseller, to try to peek into worlds. The easiest way that I think to do it is to just go and search Reddit, right? Take a social media platform, take Facebook even, and just look in groups of collectors that you have no idea about and be like, oh, this is what people are collecting now. You see more and more posts in the CD collector subreddit. And I'm just CDs are catching on. And sure enough, we started putting CDs in our booth just a couple weeks ago. No, not even a week ago. And they're already flying. It's
nice.
But again, it goes in waves. So we're now seeing the people that are, a bit younger than Bo and I, that are in their early to mid 20s that still want that nostalgia, and CDs are definitely right in that target market.
I did not know that about CDs. I probably have a couple cases of CDs that are new, that are just sitting. Yeah. And but they're all trance, techno, early 2000s.
Dude, no, you'd be surprised.
And I'm like, huh. They're sitting, and maybe in the next 20 years I'll get to it. No, but,
hey man, if you want to work out a bulk deal,
yeah, maybe I'll just ship them off to Ray, and there you go.
Yeah,
that sounds good to me. Because I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they go for, but I don't. I'd rather just give that to someone who's a pro with media.
Sure. Well, I will say that since that sort of umbrella genre has always been a little bit more underground, Aside from like your Oakenfolds and your Tiestos and stuff like that. But like there is such like an underground niche for stuff like that I mean, I'll just take an artist for example, like that I love to find that people just pass up all the time, and that's Insane Clown Posse, ICP. Yeah. They have such a cult following.
Miracles.
The fans of their, and listen, I used to be a fan. This is how I know. I was a little 13-year-old edgelord, okay? But I mean,
talk about marketing genius. Yeah.
Listen, say all you want about them. Say all you want. They are marketing geniuses. They knew the way to brand themselves and to create a culture around their music to transcend just only their music, right? Like they made themselves bigger than their music. And if you ever come across ICP stuff, seriously, buy it. Just get it.
Yeah.
Like it's
especially the clothing,
especially the clothing
stuff.
Yeah.
Zach says, I recently unlisted 20 games because I kept getting returns. I can't test the games. Do you have returns on 4 games?
Yeah, so I actually run a 30-day return policy. Buyer pays the return shipping on all of my stuff. But I will say this. Again, if you're feeling like the disc is in a shaky condition, go get it resurfaced. If you determine that the $3 to get a game resurfaced is eating into your profit margin too much, then I would try to bulk lot the games and be honest as you can about the condition. Then that way somebody else who maybe is a reseller or has their own resurfacing machine can deal with them. That's what I would say. I went through the same thing when I first started out. I was like, the first couple returns, I was like, that's it. I'm not doing it this way anymore. Like I want to deliver the best product that I can. And that's also kind of where the booth comes into play. So let's say that there's a $10 to $12 game, right? That's kind of my cutoff mark of like a game worthy enough for eBay. So let's say I get a $12 game. I spend $3 to get it resurfaced. I'm going to spend around $3.50 to $4 to ship it. So like after my cost of goods from, let's say, the bins, like I'm only at like a $3 to $4 profit right there. I might just throw it in the booth for $5 to $7 and let somebody open the case, examine the disc themselves. And if they want to buy it, then there you go. Like that's you've literally had the disc in your hands. You've made the decision to run with that, but yeah, I would say that having returns period is good. Thumbs up for returns.
Bulk lotting them up, that's kind of what I would go for, especially if I don't really mess around too much. When I first started on eBay 2+ years ago, I was doing books, and then I was like, well, I'm not making a lot of money. And then when I started lotting them up, like by horror, murder mystery, romance, then it's like, wow, these lots of 10 can sell for $14, $18, and it's like 10 books.
Yeah, you're paying pennies.
Shipping media mail is not too pricey.
Exactly.
Slow. That is where I started to gain more traction. I was like, okay, this is cool. I can, maybe single books like those nonfiction, gardening books, cooking books can be great single.
Of course.
But the murder mysteries and stuff like that, that's hard to sell an individual James Patterson book.
Where they've just mass-produced the heck out of them.
Miss Lachey says, I used to listen to every CD while driving, but now I only listen if there are scratches, which I try not to pick up. Yeah,
there you go. Mm-hmm. I think that's if I look at CDs especially, just because I know that the average price of most CDs is going to be $3 to $5, so the profit margin is already going to be low. I really am picky about my CDs from the bins, especially because those things go through a lot. And Bo's having trouble with his headphones.
Well, I can hear you. I just adjusted some things, so
gotcha.
It was
cool.
cutting in and out.
Gotcha.
But so One Busy Mama says, thank you. I do try to add multiple photos and never use stock. I really want the buyer to know what they are getting and agree to. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be
Yeah,
as
I mean,
transparent as possible.
yeah, as easy as it is to just like throw up a stock photo, I think even for some of those cheaper games and stuff, I think the end buyer really wants to know, is that like not like, are you a big corporation or are you just like a person trying to make a living, running a
Precisely.
business?
Precisely.
That's the cool thing about eBay versus Amazon. eBay has kind of that more personalized um, feel to it. A lot of the buyers, I probably have maybe 50, 60 buyers where now over the course of years where it's like I've gotten to know them and they always say like, hey, when you list this American Eagle jeans, let me know. Or, you know, you're building more of like lifelong customers by, for me, niching down in clothing. I kind of get the repeat buyers coming back because I'm sourcing the same stuff. That's the cool thing about eBay is you can build more of a relationship, I guess.
Yeah, you can build a rapport with
Mm-hmm.
your customers,
Yeah.
especially if you niche down. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that even though I'm still an everything reseller,
Mm-hmm.
I've sold so many video game and video game related accessories that I now have repeat buyers
Yep.
for my video game stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
still an everything seller.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool to see that. I have buyers that will message me and be like, hey, I love the way that you take time to pack items correctly,
Mm-hmm.
because again, like, this is so huge, but there's so many times where I see game collectors complain about people shipping them, like especially a high-end game,
Yeah.
in a bubble mailer.
Yep.
Like, no,
Pizza
stop.
box.
Stop. It's
Yeah.
hurting me. It's literally hurting my insides. Like,
Yeah.
you're making me want to cry.
Yeah, because this is
Stop.
going to get crushed.
Yes. Especially like those more fragile, like Xbox 360 cases. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, like, it's always Xbox 360 that it ends up being damaged.
Microsoft.
But yeah, I guess Microsoft like was cutting corners. They're like,
Yeah.
don't use this many ounces of plastic in our cases.
Yeah.
We
Make
gotta.
them thin.
Yeah.
Want them
But
to break.
regardless, like, I mean, I've seen like cardboard box games like that are so hard to find because you have to remember cardboard just did not last over the years. But like,
Yeah.
cardboard box games in a padded mailer is like, I want to pull my hair out and I don't even have hair.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
just like try to think about the end user that you're selling to,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that it's going to probably go in their collection, and package it the right way, please.
Yes. Yeah. And unless you want returns, that can be something that's avoidable just from the get go with your shipping.
That too. I mean, the return factor is very much in that too.
Miss Lachey says CDs have always sold for me. Just got to leave the common ones behind. Yeah.
See, I love the fact that we can take the common ones though that are in good condition and throw them in our booth, because we're still generating a profit. So just an idea, Miss Lachey. I mean, I don't know if you have a booth or not. I can't remember if you do, but I would look into that. Even a glass case. I mean,
that is. Yeah, so Miss Lachey says, if you have no idea who the brand is or artist is, it may be worth looking up. That is right.
That is also facts. Yeah.
I do that with clothing, when I find something that's like, it might be made out of silk or cashmere, but I've never heard of the brand. I set it aside because, there might be something to that, versus just, it could be a $50 to $100 sweater, but just because I don't know the brand doesn't mean it should be thrown out, right?
Right.
Take
like
the
that's the knowledge bank, right? Like, in clothing, you learn how to feel quality, right?
Yeah.
You know that even though you've never heard of this brand, but when you feel quality, look it up, right?
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Takes repetition.
Yeah.
So, getting back into some of the questions, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but, so I know we kind of touched on this, but when you are an everything seller, how does that inventory system look like? What are you storing them in boxes? Are you putting like labels on the boxes? How do you keep things kind of organized?
So the original shelf that I had mentioned where I just kind of chucked everything onto, that is now my media / bulk shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So I got these like really shallow cardboard boxes that are perfect for storing media in. So I have some of those on that shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also just, like I said, I put bulkier items that don't typically fit in like, a 17 by 12 by 13 box or whatever. I'm just using those dimensions as an example. But, stuff like tennis rackets and golf clubs and whatever, bowling balls, whatever it may be. I throw that has its own shelf along with the media. And then I also just have numbered bins. We are about to start bin F. So
Nice.
we just have A through F, and that's pretty much it. So I will say the bulk of our listings, well, maybe not the bulk, but a good portion are media. So it's like super easy to, it's super easy to sort that stuff, and it's space efficient, which is really nice about media. So very space efficient.
Yeah, that's cool. Media is that's the best part, is like you can run a really nice business out of like a 15 by 15 room.
Seriously.
With just books, CDs, tapes.
Yeah.
Versus clothing and other stuff that might take up a lot more space.
Well, yeah. And the thing that's also nice is just the weight factor. Like if you were to do books, like, you're going to need some sturdier shelves, but if you do only media, if you only do cassettes, CDs, games, DVDs and like that, like you'd be, I mean, you could have it on whatever,
For sure.
Like it would be the cheapest shelves. You'd be fine.
Yep. Yeah, they don't need to hold 4,000 pounds.
Yeah,
maybe if it's books, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's a different story.
I was
just
just gonna say really quick. I saw a episode of Hoarders where the person was hoarding books, and they had so many books on the second level of their house that it was collapsing into the foundation. Like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That's so many books.
Yeah. There's a maybe they were a reseller, and maybe they just got a little crazy with the hoarding.
Maybe, yeah.
Yes. So if someone is just getting into reselling, and they maybe haven't started a store yet, but they're like really intrigued and want to get going, what would you suggest that they start to like hone in on and master first so they can be successful? Like maybe they want to be an everything seller. What should they kind of clue in on?
Sell-through rate and trends. I think that is the most important thing, because you can make the most beautiful listing. You can have the greatest item specifics, the greatest title, keywords out the wazoo, whatever. If you have a bad item that's not going to sell, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, I would rather start out with, $15 blanket controllers, which I've sold the crap out of and have huge sell-through rate. I would rather start out with those than like trying to find, just like these random whatevers, just kind of try to hone in on like, obviously we'd all love $15 items to be just readily available. Right. But I think it's important that, you try to, again, like look at what people are collecting, like look at waves of trends, and look at sell-through rate. That's I think the most important thing, regardless of what category it's in. Like if you want to start out by selling Levi's, like that's a great starting point, because most Levi's have a good sell-through rate. You're gonna have a lot of competition, but at least they have the sell-through. They're not selling once every 90 days or twice every 90 days.
Right.
So
I always suggest, especially with beginners, to look up the sell-through rate so you get an idea of how long do I expect to have this item for, and then also sorting from highest to lowest so you can gauge the market. Like, what does this item go for? Those two things.
I mean, that is important too. Like, obviously you want to have a good cost of goods, but I think it's also important that it gets you through the repetitions of being a reseller. It gets you through the repetitions of customer service, of shipping an item, of packaging it correctly,
for sure,
so on and so forth. So I mean, like, just getting your feet wet as fast as possible. Even if you're not making a ton of money, you could be selling $15 blanket controllers and making a $10 net profit at the end of the day, but you're getting those reps and you're just learning the ins and outs, and every day you can make yourself more efficient, right? Like, that's going to make you a better reseller.
Yeah. So what are what is like one tip that you have learned along the way of your reseller journey? That one thing that's like the light bulb moment of like, oh, if I do this, this can be more efficient, or this can save me more time, more money. What is that one thing that you learned along with your reselling that can be helpful for others?
Be humble.
Mhm.
Don't think that you know everything. Don't let your
Yeah.
ego get in the way of customer service. Just be as humble as you can possibly be. There's always something
Yeah,
to learn about every
for sure.
buying situation that you go into. And that's, I always go back to like when I would run away from clothing. Like I would literally be like, you can, Marcus, Dixon Spickens, he was in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
I like gave him clothing in exchange
Yeah.
for media because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want this stuff. Here, please
Yeah.
take this and get it out of my face. Like I'm never going to
Mhm.
do anything with this.
For
But
sure.
now that I humbled myself and
Mhm.
thought about the fact that I can go to the bins and make
Mhm.
money in every category there now,
Mhm.
and I'm efficient with my time,
Yep.
it's so much better. It's
Yeah.
don't act like you know everything. Be humble, be open to learning about other things
Yeah.
in
I love
reselling.
I love that. That is cool. Humble. Yeah. As you go, no matter fame goes out like a flame. It's
Yeah,
like you may have that quick hitter and think you're in the big times, and it's like, yeah,
exactly.
this is why I love those boring common items, because it's like people go, you can make even Dalton had said on one of his lives, someone had asked him like, you can make money reselling used shoes. And just like the common person thinks like, who wants to buy used shoes? And yet there's this huge market for used shoes.
Oh my gosh.
um
At
so
our
yeah.
bins, it's the most cutthroat thing. I
Oh yeah.
swear. Like the shoe resellers are they are
Yeah.
they are always at the front of the line.
Yeah.
They are always
It's
grabbing their
crazy.
cart as quick as possible. They will run
Ooh,
you over.
yes.
They do not care. Like they
Yeah.
are cutthroat.
Yeah.
I thought the media guys were cutthroat. The guys that are looking for banger vinyls and banger video games. No,
Yeah.
nothing compared to the shoe resellers.
Yeah. Yeah. Get your hockey gear on, get your football helmets on. If you're doing shoes, you're
Yeah,
gonna get boxed out.
yeah.
Even the grandmas are there just
Oh
like with
yeah.
their canes, like,
Oh
hey,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
poking at you.
Oh yeah.
That's my New Balance over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa.
My
I'm
shape
just
ups, my sketchers.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just okay. You can have them. I
Yeah.
tried it,
Yes.
and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
I'm
Not even worth
good.
it.
I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
So,
gonna fight you.
getting to the last question, and you've been reselling for a while now. Can you name like one of your best flips, maybe a couple, maybe something that can be helpful for other people to be on the lookout for? What is something that you bought recently or in the past that turned out to be like, wow, this sold for that much? What
Uh,
have you found?
s- so yeah, I actually again kind of like clothing. I was not
Mhm.
paying attention to books at all.
Mhm.
I as a media as I started out as a media seller, I
Yeah.
would be like, these books are annoying. They're in the way of my
Yeah.
video games and DVDs and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But around the beginning of November, I had found myself getting more books because I was interested in selling a little bit on Amazon and a little bit on
Mhm.
eBay. Again, because I'm already there. I'm already like I'm on top of these items. So I
Yeah.
might as well train myself to know what to look for. Well,
Yeah. That's
I
a
mean,
sign. Yeah.
I'm sure you guys all know the author Stephen King. I mean, very famous horror writer. But he has a special series called the Dark Tower series.
Oh, right. Right.
And I found Dark Tower Gunslinger, which
Mhm.
is like a sub book of the series,
Mhm.
first edition. And
Oh,
I had
nice.
already kind of gone through the motions of getting my hopes up about first edition books, particularly Stephen King, actually, because I found a first edition I think it was, and
Mm.
it ended up being a book club edition. So that's like really
Okay.
important to
To
remember
identify.
that,
Yeah.
to identify, because book club editions, while still sought after, are not
Mhm.
worth nearly as much as a true first.
The original. Yeah.
So, even in the episode, I'm talking in the camera and I'm just like, I'm not getting my hopes up, guys. Let's just take it to the rare bookstore. Like, let's see what happens. So
Right.
35 cents an inch. This book was about an inch. I paid 35 cents for this book. I took it to this rare bookstore. I go, hey, I want to know if this is a real first edition. They go, actually, we have a copy of this exact book. Let's take it out and let's compare it to your book.
Yeah.
So they took the book out and they started comparing it. I'm sitting there recording. They're like, yeah, congratulations. This is a real first edition. And I go, how much do you have on yours? They go, $1,900.
Whew.
So I ended up selling. It was like perfect timing too. My wife and I got married at the beginning of November.
Right.
We went on our honeymoon shortly thereafter. We were in Colorado chilling out, and I wake up and I go, honey, the book sold. Full asking price, $1,600.
Wow.
$1,600.
That is so cool.
Yeah, just absolutely. It still does not feel real, Bo. Like it.
Yeah.
It's so weird how we get such imposter syndrome sometimes from reselling.
Yeah.
Like it does. Like, this is my job. Like, what?
Yeah.
This is so weird. Like it's wild.
That is cool. Yeah. So just, you never know what you have, guys. When you're going to the bins, when you're looking through bulk items, if you have that feeling, that gut intuition, just take the extra minute to look things up. That's cool that you went to an actual bookstore, were able to verify, because for me, that's going to take, an extra while to authenticate it.
I will say, like, there were more than a handful of sold comps for this exact book on eBay, and I probably could have verified it myself. But it was nice to just have that backed up and validated in my feelings of that being a true first. And I mean, just so cool that they had a copy of it too. So yeah.
So what a flip, 20, 30 cents into $1,600, after fees and all that, you're looking at thousands of % return on your investment.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of %.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is cool. So be on the lookout for anything first edition.
Anything.
But specifically the Dark Tower, any book in that series.
Yes.
Anything Stephen King first edition,
honestly,
I'd imagine.
I think Stephen King across the board. Like you were saying earlier, if you lot up Stephen King books, I know Miss Lachey, like, she's a person that is like a huge fan of lotting up like popular authors, and like you can lot up Stephen King books. You buy them for 35 cents, 70 cents if they're 2 inches. You definitely can make some money that way.
Yeah, if you have CDs, books, games, and maybe they're not worth much individually, that next step would be, hey, how can I lot these up by genre, category, series, and at least make that effort of the listings and the photos, go further. So
yes.
So Ray, where can people find you? You have a YouTube channel, you have Instagram. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you, reach out and ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So our YouTube channel is Good Game Grabs. You can also connect with us on Instagram. We're pretty active on there. And then we also have a Discord server, which is completely free to join. You can join like-minded people in this chat server and talk about whatever. If you want to talk about your dog threw up on the floor today, you can say that. You can ask reselling questions. You can post pictures. You can do all that fun stuff. Come hang out with us. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'll link all of that in the show notes down below if you're catching it on the replay. Join the Discord. Ask Ray some questions. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to media. It can help speed up your time rather than you having to go and look up all these different things when it comes to selling media. If you're catching this on the replay, smash the like button, hit subscribe, as we are doing shows on a weekly basis, reaching out to other resellers, getting some strategies of what they do in their business. Hope you all have a blessed rest of the day. Thank you, Ray, for joining, and take care.
Thank you.